At the fixed income market here in Nigeria, the central bank yesterday offered about 133.25 billion naira in treasury bills auction. There was also a bond auction worth about 140 billion naira. Now let's get the results of these auctions from the head fixed income securities trading at UBA Group, Mr. Ayodeji Abimbola. Good afternoon, Mr. Abimbola. Thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, good afternoon.
So what is the outcome of the Treasury bill and bond auction conducted yesterday?
Okay. On the bond side of the market, the DMO offered a total of 140 billion and sold same, even though it therefore showed more preference on the long tenor bonds. Out of a total amount of 50 billion for the 20 years bond, a total of 88 billion was subscribed. However, DMO sold a total of 64 billion. And on the 10-year benchmark, out of the total of 50 billion offered, 30 billion was sold from a total subscription of about 57 billion. However, we got a very low amount for the 5-year benchmark because the DMO offered itself about 40 billion. 4 billion was sold out of a total subscription of about 12 billion. So this further shows that the sentiment around the market for a sharp drop in rate is evident, and people or the market players are trying to lock in on the longer end of the curve. For the treasury bills, that same sentiment can be seen when you check the 1-year bill as against the 91-day bill and 182-day bill, where a total 50 billion was offered, but a total of 82 billion was subscribed, and CBN and the DMO through CBN sold a total of 61 billion. However, we recorded a lower amount of subscription when it comes to the 91-day bill and 182-day bill.
All right, thank you very much for giving us those details, Ayodeji Abimbola. Now, the Debt Management Office says Nigeria's debt service revenue ratio is high as a result of the low tax to GDP ratio. The Director General of the agency, Dr. Abraham Wankwo, made this known to Channels Television after a meeting with stockbrokers held in commemoration of his retirement at the Nigerian Stock Exchange. He, however, explains that the medium-term debt strategy is capable of reducing the debt service cost by about 7%.
This time around, we did not only simply go on a roadshow, we also went for a transaction. That therefore we went to raise money in the form of a diaspora bond, an opportunity for Nigerians outside the country to contribute to the growth and development of the country by investing their money in, giving their money to the federal government so government can carry out various infrastructure projects and they themselves earn some reasonable income in the process. So we are happy that we have opened up this new window for the first time, so that Nigerians outside have a channel through which they can contribute to the growth and development of the economy. We are also happy that for the first time an African country has been allowed to have access to the United States of America retail market. The United States is very restrictive. Their Securities and Exchange Commission rules are very, very, very strict. And it's therefore very difficult for any developing country to be allowed to issue a bond like the diaspora bond, which is a retail product in the United States. So we are the first African country to issue a retail product in the United States, very, very regulated and restricted market. Now, for us to succeed, it means that the global community, the global investors, appreciate that Nigeria has achieved a high level of transparency, of effectiveness, of accountability, so that they can allow us to have access to their retail market. And that's good news for Nigeria, that we are moving forward in various directions.
You have really been instrumental in the raising of a lot of bonds for the Nigerian government, and here you are bowing out. How will you want these funds to be utilized? Because again, these bonds were raised at a very, very high interest rates.
No huge amounts of money have been taken. You are servicing the debt. You borrowed money, and you borrowed them at agreed rates, and you are servicing the debt at agreed rates. So those monies are not really a waste, because the money you are paying for the money you have borrowed to solve your problem. Everybody who borrows from a bank or from another person will have to service the debt. You have to pay back the debt as and when due. You have to pay interest as and when due. But the issue that is relevant is the fact that because revenue is very low, then the debt service revenue ratio is high. It's not that our debt service is really high, it's that the revenue is low. And therefore, that's why government is focusing on ensuring that the economy is well diversified, that the sources of public revenue is diversified. More importantly, that people pay their taxes, whether individuals or corporates, pay their taxes adequately in time. Because for Nigeria, the tax GDP ratio is 6%, which is very low. In other countries of our peer group, the tax GDP ratio is about 20%. So what it means is that Nigerians, as individuals, as companies, should please endeavor to pay their taxes adequately so that the tax GDP ratio will be high, and so that the debt service revenue ratio will be low. So why the debt service revenue ratio is high in Nigeria, and we are complaining about debt service, is mainly because the revenue base is low, because many people are not paying their taxes. As I've said, instead of 20% tax GDP ratio, we are having a 6% tax GDP ratio, which means that many people operating in the economy and producing are not paying their taxes. So everybody, and that's why government is laying emphasis, the Inland Revenue Department, the Honorable Minister of Finance are laying emphasis on a new initiatives to make sure that everybody who should pay tax is actually paid. That is that. The other aspect, of course, is in terms of interest rates. Certainly relative to external borrowing, domestic interest rates are high. And that's why in the medium-term debt strategy, which government approved last year, the strategy is that as domestic debt matures, some of it, you refinance them with external debt. You refinance with external debt, which means you bring down the debt service cost per dollar, per naira or per unit of money by about 7%, which is a lot of saving. So there's already a strategy in place, which is already being implemented. So that in the next 18 to 24 months, there will be a significant impact on the debt service revenue ratio.
Dr. Abraham Wanko, DG Debt Management Office. And that's it on the program. Thank you very much for being part of it. I'm Chimeze Obiwago.